be resilient, take care of your family and your neighbors.
Are you down there now, or are you in Washington?
No, I'm in Bay County right now. I'm in the Emergency Operations Center. We've lost power and our internet. We're on generators.
And that is going to be the number one issue going forward as you start the cleanup. You're going to have to bring in power generators from all across the country.
Fortunately, we've seen some really good responses to hurricanes in the last couple of years. Florida's stood some very robust recovery from natural disasters programs, and those were all dress rehearsals for this.
And we can see and we can feel the power right now. Congressman, thanks very much. I want to go to Washington now. Tom Bossert, President Trump's former Homeland Security Director. Tom, you were on point, I think, for Irma and Hurricane Harvey back in 2017. This one seems to be hitting just even harder.
Yeah, George, thanks. I'm really worried at this point. I was also a FEMA employee, believe it or not, deployed into Florida in field operations for Hurricane Ivan in 2004. It hit the same or roughly the same area of the Panhandle, and we had a little bit more time. That was the fourth hurricane at the end of a 6-week period of time in which we had the entire state evacuated, unfortunately, 3 times in a row. And so people had a lot of heightened awareness. I look at this now, and I know we've all reported it, and what we're doing here today is extremely important here, providing good information to people to allow them to make good decisions. But I'm worried that the evacuation rates weren't high enough. I'm worried that we didn't have enough time to prepare adequately as a community from the local and state levels. And I'm worried and reminded to be a little bit somber at this point. Unfortunately, history tells me that we'll see some death as a result of this.
Tom, what is the key to getting those evacuation rates up? Was this simply a factor of speed here?
Yeah, it's a little bit of speed. It's a little bit of time to act, right? At some points, some procedures take a little bit longer than you have, and so you have to make trade-off decisions. It's mostly about speed and time, but it's also messaging. I think a lot of what we did as we saw this crop up was understandably start reporting on Florida, but the people of Georgia didn't necessarily get all the attention that they're now getting, but they're going to see hurricane force winds and rain.
Take us behind the
surge,
scenes.
Though, George, that's going to leave behind damage that's going to last for years.
Take us behind the scenes now. Of course, you're not there right now, but you've been in situations like this, behind the scenes in the White House, in FEMA right now. What's happening?
Yeah, I've spoken to Administrator Long and his senior team today and leading up to it this week. I have a pretty good sense of what's happening. People are mobilized. The entire workforce is shifting all over the country to bring resources, human resources, some of whom are tired, into this region, into this effort. People are getting into their battle rhythm of 24-hour operations, 12-hour shifts, and operation cycles and periods where they do planning and so forth. But right now, as we sit here, it's a messaging game and a little bit of a waiting game. Everything that we could do is pretty much done, and now we have to wait to kind of let the dust settle and get in as quickly as possible.
Can't go in until the storm passes. Okay, Tom, thanks very much. I want to go back to Sam Champion in Miami. And Sam, what should people who are in the middle of this right now caught, what should they be doing?
Hey, George, we want to get people ready. I do have a headline for you right now, and this is very important information just came in. The center of this storm did make landfall near Mexico Beach, 155-mile-per-hour winds with this storm. Now, remember, a Category 5 is 156. So we are at the top level of a Cat 4. The Hurricane Center will go back and look at all of the gauges, look at all of the readings to see whether this was indeed a Cat 4 or Cat 5 at landfall. But this is an historic event in this location and for the coast of the U.S. This is rarefied territory for a storm to become this big, this strong, and make landfall anywhere in the United States.
That is a headline right there.
George,
the landfall. Wait, before you go there, because I want to go back to Ginger right now, because she's on the scene where Michael just made landfall. Ginger. I think we may have lost Ginger. David Muir, are you there?
I am here. I am here, and of course we all are are thinking about Ginger right now, since she is in precisely the location where this hurricane just made landfall, and I'm sure we will go back to her as soon as we can for folks at home who are watching and obviously thinking about her, as we all are, and our team right there. Looking out this window right here, this is the hotel we're in Panama City. We are not far from where Ginger is. Winds are now gusting here at 129 miles per hour. The SUVs that you can sort of see through that front door, we're not standing out there because there are significant pieces of debris and parts of buildings now ripping off of the building and flying through the air. So we've stepped inside for obvious reasons. But those SUVs were literally lifting somewhat right out of the air. You can see the front end of that SUV on the left just bobbing in the wind as huge pieces of rooftops literally fly past the front window. You can hear the alarms going off in the background here. And Dale, I want to show folks at home these windows on the right-hand side. When you talk about construction, and obviously the codes have changed as we've seen the ferocity of these hurricanes through the years, but this window is an example of testing storm-proof windows. The management here at the hotel told us that this was up to code, but you can see the water coming right through the window, and you can see the window sort of buckling in the wind. It's a real test of infrastructure all throughout Florida's Panhandle. And down on the ground here, Dale, you can see these are parts of the building, the cement that's come off the side of the building. You see that there on the floor. All of this as we learned that the radar in Tallahassee has now come offline, and we're not getting any more weather information. That's one location where it's simply been overwhelmed by the weather. I don't want people to be alarmed by that fire alarm. It's simply a signal that the power has gone out inside the hotel where so many of the families here in this community have come to seek shelter, as we report here too. I just want you to hear the wind right outside this doorway. Just take a listen to this. We knew this was going to be a powerful hurricane as we watched it intensify over the last 48 hours from a Cat 3, then to a Cat 4. And as we just heard from Sam Champion, when it made landfall, and of course they will go back and they will study this, it made landfall 1 mile per hour less than a Category 5 hurricane. The fact that it was a Category 4 already made history here, but this notion that it was almost as powerful as a Cat 5 is simply stunning here. I want to get back to meteorologist Rob Marciano, who's also down here, Rob. And as we await to hear from Ginger, just describe for us, if you will, what you're seeing right now.
We're just west of your position, a little closer to the beach. We were just on the beach, and we said we would take you to the other side of the street, the windward side, if you will, as this storm now makes landfall and the winds begin to shift. We are in about on the second floor of a parking structure, an open-air stairwell, so you can get a sense of just how ferocious these winds are. Looking down the parking lots here off the main strip, and the main strip, the two-lane highway there, that is all but desolate as debris continues to swirl past us. You can hear that roar that David mentioned whistling through parts of this parking structure. But you also hear, and then see from time to time, shingles and sheet metal being ripped off different structures. Obviously, the structures that are quite made as well, they're the ones most susceptible. Well, we've seen everybody take a hit, every building here take a hit of some sort.
Rob, thank you. We are in our same location, and I've got to tell you, a significant scare for the families who are inside this hotel with us. As you're looking out through the window, you can see the roof of the hotel that we had been standing out there. That was the shelter for a Category 4 hurricane. That has now come down on those SUVs that I was just telling you about earlier. Listen, the wind is picking up so much. We're gonna take a break. Send it back to you, George. I want to make sure everybody's safe. We'll talk to you shortly.
Those winds so fierce right now. And Sam Champion back in Miami, we're seeing the power, the destructive power of those winds right now. So intense.
George, we're all watching something together that very few of us get a chance to see, and I've been doing this for more than 35 years. But a daytime hit of a hurricane that's a high 4, near a 5, moving through, this gives people a chance to see exactly how powerful this kind of storm is, and our crews have done everything right. We've put people in safe positions, but still have cameras so you can see the damage. The one thing, George, I want to remind people is that now that we have the center of this storm moving on shore, the storm will not get stronger, but it will stay this strength for a few hours longer as it slowly weakens. So I want to talk to people who are inland, away from the coast right now, and I mean Tallahassee into South Georgia, that southeastern corner of Alabama. All of you, I need you to kind of pay attention to what we're going to tell you right now, because as this storm now moves away and you're away from the flooding, if you have no connection with this storm surge and you're far enough inland, then what I need you